That one day, you were out one day. I mean, you're making it difficult for me, and you're making it difficult for your parole officer because we don't have a track record.
When I look through the history of her escapes, this is her fourth escape. And each time she's placed in a halfway house, within days, weeks, or even hours, she's just left.
And we are about to watch the parole revocation hearing of a woman who's got a jacket full of offenses. But what sticks out particularly is her tendency, or I should say trend, of running away, absconding. She gets sent on special parole and she gets up and disappears. And this time she lasted a whole about 2 hours before leaving her halfway house. And this is a part of the DOC that a lot of us wouldn't be aware of or know about. You know, you get paroled, you get sent to a halfway house, but then you disappear. Then what happens? Well, you show up to this parole revocation hearing. She's going to be told how much time she's going to be punished for absconding. And she has a lot riding on this because her full term date is 2033. Now, the way that she responds at the end, it's something else. And there are twists and turns in this hearing, so be sure to stick around for it. With that, let's jump in.
Yes.
So we will now review the charge that the state your parole officer is bringing against you and information underlying each charge. So P.O. Sheehan, if you can please read the charges.
Sure. Charge 1 for residence. On 11/14/2023, you were released from York CI and placed at Rise Halfway House in New Haven after your special parole was reinstated. At this time, Rise Halfway House was the only approved residence. On 11/14/2023, the same day you were placed at Rise, you told staff you were leaving and walked out the door without permission from staff or your assigned parole officer. You made no attempts to contact halfway house staff or parole officer. To date, your whereabouts were unknown in the community. Based on your actions, you were in violation of release direction residence. And charge 2, absconder. On 11/14/2023, you were released from York CI and placed at Rise Halfway House in New Haven after your special parole was reinstated. At the time, Rise Halfway House was your only approved residence. On 11/14/2023, the same day you were placed at Rise Halfway House, you told staff you were leaving and walked out the front door without permission from staff or your assigned parole officer. You made no attempts to contact halfway house staff or your parole officer. To date, your whereabouts were unknown in the community. Based on your actions, you are in violation of release direction absconder.
Thank you. And the state filed the following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, signed statement of understanding and agreement, conditions of parole. B, special parole acknowledgement agreement. C, Connecticut Board of Parole Remand and Custody Order. D, notice of parole violation. E, parole violation report. F, notice of parole rights. G, Rise Women's Program Residential Handbook. H, halfway house agreement, Rise Halfway House. And I is Rise Halfway House incident report. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and the other documents I marked, and did you review them?
Yes.
Okay. And counsel filed the following exhibit pre-marked for identification purposes. Defense Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatements. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence? We have no witnesses. So at this time, the state will have an opportunity to speak to any of the evidence submitted. P.O. Sheehan, I'm just going to swear you under oath so you can speak today. If you can raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or sincerely affirm, as the case may be, the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and with the truth so help you God upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right. Would you like to say anything in regards to the violation?
No, I think that the violation report can speak for itself.
Okay, so it's now defense's opportunity to speak at this time.
Yes. Good morning, P.O. Sheehan. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right. Quick question. I know the facts here speak for themselves. The same day that my client was placed at the halfway house, November 14th of 2023, it's the same day she left the program, correct?
Correct.
All right. She was picked up, it appears, by the fugitive unit and Fairfield Police on January 29th, 2024.
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Were you present when they picked her up?
I was not.
Okay, as her assigned parole officer, as far as you know, she did not, from November 14th to January 29th of 2024, as far as you know, my client did not pick up any criminal cases along the way, correct?
As far as I know.
Okay. As far as you know, as right now, she does not have any pending court dates anywhere. She's not currently being held on bond anywhere, correct?
No.
Okay. So, once again, she was out one day. We know that. I did speak to my client, and I will get into it a little bit more on the second part of the hearing. It appears her grandmother passed away on August 21st. Her mother passed away on November 1st, 2023, and her grandfather passed away on November 30th, 2023. Not making excuses for my clients. It should have been handled differently after speaking to her, but she does suffer from some mental health illness, and now she realized she's been incarcerated since January 29th of 2024. She has taken her medication, and I've had an opportunity to speak to her. She's a little more clear-headed now. But these are the facts as presented. I'm not disputing what's here, but I would get a little bit more into her background at the appropriate time.
So, what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna announce my findings. So, on charge 1, I do find you violated condition of restriction residence based on the evidence provided, exhibits E and I. On charge 2, I find you violated condition of restriction absconder based on a warrant being issued by the BOPP and evidence provided in support of that charge, exhibits E and I. That includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make a recommendation, the state will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. After the state is finished, council will have the same opportunity. This purpose part of the hearing is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So Sheehan, would you like to say anything in regards to the second part of this hearing?
Yeah, because I do not really know Miss Egbert Peak very well. But when I look through the history of her escapes, this is her 4th escape. And each time she's placed in a halfway house, within days, weeks, or even hours, she's just left. I'm really concerned about her getting treatment on the outside because she doesn't cooperate with even staying at the halfway house long enough to even connect with treatment. And it sounds like she's getting treatment and inside, and I think it's really important for us to stabilize her a little bit more than just a few weeks. It's really concerning that she's not even willing to start treatment on the outside. I'm very concerned about that for her safety.
Thank you. Okay, council, like to say anything?
Yes, I don't disagree with the parole officer just put on a record. My client is on supervision until 2033, so she still has quite a bit of time left. As I previously indicated, she does suffer from some mental health issues. There's 3 deaths in a short period of time. I'm not making excuses for her, but as a parole officer, she indicated she is getting treatment at York. She did meet with a psychiatrist, and she also received some methadone. So she is clear-headed at this time, and I would like for her to continue that when she's out in the community at some point. But my client does understand she needs to get on track because she has 9 years left of supervision. She's 39 years old. She did take some prerequisite classes in Naugatuck Valley Community College in Waterbury, and on a previous incarceration, she did take some general studies from Middlesex. Due to her mental health history, she does not have a previous work history. She does want to complete some college to get a psychology degree. And as far as somewhere down the road, she is interested in being placed in a halfway house. Bridgeport is the first choice, and New Haven is her second choice. And she does want to re-enroll to obtain her master's in psychology, as I indicated. She's done some IOP in the past. Looks like in September 2022, Bridgeport, and then she transferred to the recovery network, the J Brothers. as I said, I did speak to her. She knows she needs to get on track. She knows she needs to take her medication. I think she's off to the right start as far as since she's been at York. She did meet with the psychiatrist and she's currently taking her medication. Ms. P, anything you want to add regarding your parole officer is right on point. Once you're reinstated, you need to engage in treatment, and they can't be, that one day, you were out one day. I mean, you're making it difficult for me, and you're making it difficult for your parole officer because we don't have a track record. And I know you're capable of doing it, and after speaking to you via telephone, you're kind of coherent now, you're taking your meds to do what you're supposed to do. You need to get yourself on track.
Yeah. I do want to say, I know that it does look as if this is just a pattern of behavior, and I do understand that. And this time it really was just I was just grieving so much. Even before my grandfather died, it was just with my mother and my grandmother, I was scared to leave here, but I didn't have a choice. When they say you're leaving for a halfway house, you're leaving for a halfway house. And I know that I have a long time left on parole, but I was actually informed by the officers that when they brought me up here, that if I can get even just half of the time done under my belt, I don't have to do the whole amount of time. And to me, that large amount of time seems daunting. And I believe that if I take it just day by day, once I finally do get back out into the community, I can actually do it. If I get myself into some sort of treatment and start college and start getting myself a routine, I can complete this stuff. I can actually do it for myself. I just can't. I believe that for me, if I keep coming back here and just being stored away in jail over and over and over, it's just prolonging my life, and I keep doing it to myself. And I understand that. And I don't want to keep doing that to myself. And I know that I make it difficult for all of you when I do this. And I don't want to keep doing that. And I'm just very, very sorry that we're here today because of me. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as was noted by your parole officer, you do have two prior absconding violations on this period of supervision alone. And that is concerning that you leave the same day when we want you to get help and be involved in treatment. That's why you're on supervision, is so you can have help. So you are making it difficult on yourself. We're here to support you. And I hope that when you come out next time that you take advantage of that support you have. So, I mean, I'm gonna be right with you with a recommendation. So I'm going to make a recommendation that parole be revoked, be re-paroled for October 29th, 2024. This is about a 9-month period. As a sanction, I recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, mental health treatment, no contact with victim ME without PO's permission. I'm going to present your case to the parole board on March 14th. They're going to make the decision on what happens. They can let you out sooner. They can hold you in longer, or they can agree with my recommendation. I hope that you get settled before you come back out so that you can do the right thing. and be successful. Do you have any questions about anything?
No, just that's a long time. Like,
Unfortunately, when you keep running from supervision,
But-
it's
well,
not.
last time, the only reason I got so long was because I had other charges. Now you're telling me I got that long for basically nothing. Now I'm gonna get 9 months and I didn't even get other charges.
It's not basically nothing. You need to report to your parole officer and not. That's a recommendation. That's just a recommendation. The parole board is going to make a decision March 14th, and then you're going to know about a week after that what their decision is. So this is not final word. This is a recommendation.
Yeah,
So
but
the
they're
board-
gonna go along with your recommendation. That's what they
No, it's up
do.
to the parole board. It's up to the parole board. So you're all set for today. And you'll know, like I said, about a week after March 14th. So I wish you the best of luck.
When people kill themselves because of you, that's on you.
When people kill themselves because of you, that's on you. Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that she is still very much here with us. The bad news is that she is still very much here with us. She is back. She got out and did the same thing the first day. Left their halfway house. So here she is at another revocation hearing. With that, let's jump in.
They can't hear me.
York, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Yes, yeah.
Can you hear us now?
Oh, can you see us? They can hear us, can't they? You heard me say an orange suit is nothing good. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
George, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you now as well. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. So we're gonna get started now. Okay, is this recording? No. All right, good morning. I'm Parole Officer Chisella. I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. And this is a revocation hearing concerning Annika P, inmate number 315188. Today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. And this hearing is being conducted via video at the Board of Pardons and Paroles office in New York Correctional Institution. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
My name is Annika Elizabeth Ekberg Peak, number 315188.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing and public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. Present this morning is Attorney Sirica. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
Sure. Attorney Alfonso Sirica, Public Defender with the Parole Revocation Unit, on behalf of Ms. Ekberg Peak this morning.
Thank you. So this is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of facts as to each of the charges against you. The state, not you, has a responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence. That is, the better or weightier evidence must establish that more probably than not the allegation is true. If I do not find that there's a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. And if I recommend a revocation, I will make a recommendation as to the appropriate sanction. My recommendation will then be given to a panel for a final decision, and if the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing will be provided to justify additional confinement. You should know that a revocation hearing is an adversarial proceeding, and anything you say at this hearing can be used against you. This hearing is also being recorded. The testimony at today's hearing will be taken under oath. So, Ms. Ekberg-Peak, can you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God or upon penalty of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. So we're going to go over the procedure for today's hearing. First, I'm going to read you your rights. Then we'll review the parole violation charges that the state, your parole officer, is bringing against you. We'll then review and identify the exhibits filed for the record. The state is not present at today's proceedings. However, you will have an opportunity to present any relevant testimony and any relevant documents. After considering all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. And if I find that you violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, you'll have the opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure before we begin?
I do not.
So you do have important rights at today's hearing, and we're going to review them now. Your first right is that you have the right to be represented by an attorney, and counsel is here present for you. You also have the right to receive written notice of charges of violation. Did you receive that written notice?
I did.
Great. So you also have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing. You have the right to submit evidence in support of your case. You have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and to cross-examine adverse witnesses. You understand these rights, and are you ready to go forward?
I do, and I am.
So we're now going to review the charges that the state, your parole officer, is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. So on charge number 1, condition of residence, the charging officer reported that on 10/29/2024, you were released from York CI and placed at Stillman Halfway House in Hartford after your special parole was reinstated. At this time, Stillman Halfway House was your only approved residence. On 10/29/2024, the same day you were placed at Stillman Halfway House, you told staff you were leaving and walked out the door and got into a vehicle without permission from staff or your assigned parole officer. You made no attempts to contact Halfway House staff or your parole officer. To date, your whereabouts in the community were unknown. Based on your actions, you're in violation of release direction residence. On charge number 2, condition of absconder, the charging officer reported that on 10/29/2024, you were released from York CI and placed at Stillman Halfway House in Hartford after your special parole was reinstated. At this time, Stillman Halfway House was your only approved residence. On 10/29/2024, the same day you were placed at Stillman Halfway House, you told staff you were leaving, walked out the door and got into a vehicle without permission from staff or your assigned parole officer. You made no attempts to contact Halfway House staff or your parole officer. To date, your whereabouts in the community were unknown, and based on your actions, you're in violation of release direction absconder. On charge number 3, condition of obedience to the law, the charging officer reported that on 11/16/2024, you were arrested by Stratford Police Department and charged with criminal impersonation in violation of Connecticut General Statute 53A-130 and interfering with an officer, in violation of Connecticut General Statute 53A-167A. You were issued a promise to appear in court with a court hearing date of 12/4/2024. The state has filed the following exhibits that have been remarked for identification purposes. I have Exhibit A, the special parole acknowledgement agreement. Exhibit B, the Connecticut remand to custody order. Exhibit C, the notice of parole violation. Exhibit D, the parole violation report. Exhibit E, the notice of parolee rights. Exhibit F, the Halfway House agreement, Stillman Halfway House. Exhibit G, the Stillman Halfway House incident report. Exhibit H, the revocation summary. Exhibit I, the decision summary. And Exhibit J, the Stratford Police Report number 240027693. In addition, the state has filed 2 addendums to the parole violation report, both which are also admitted as evidence. The first one was submitted on 11/18/2024 and states that on 10/31/2024, the board issued a warrant based on the report declaring Eckberg Peak an absconder from parole supervision. On November 16, 2024, she was apprehended by the Stratford Police Department and charged with criminal impersonation and interfering with an officer. And they noted that this is Eckberg Peak's 4th time absconding from special parole supervision since her discharge to special parole on September 7, 2022. In addition to her 4 absconding, she also escaped from community release from March 4th, 2022. Eckberg Peak's absconding history is as follows: abscond on 10/30/2022, return to custody on 3/6/23, abscond on 4/25/23, return to custody on 5/14/23. Abscond on 12/4/23, return to custody on 1/29/24, and abscond on 10/31/24, return to custody on 11/16/2024. The second addendum was submitted on 2/18/2024 and states that on February 13, 2025, Eckberg Peak appeared in GA2 Bridgeport Superior Court and was convicted of criminal impersonation. and sentenced to unconditional discharge, and the charge of interfering with an officer was nollied. So counsel, did you receive the notice of parole violation, the parole violation report, and all the other documents identified?
Yes, I did.
Great. And I did also receive a defense exhibit 1, a list of full accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatement. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
All right. Need any more time to submit other evidence?
No.
Okay, so we don't have any witnesses today. So at this time, it is the defense's opportunity to call any witnesses, present evidence, and speak to the charges and evidence.
Yes, first part of the hearing will be very brief, kind of self-explanatory what happened here. Just do want to put on the record for charge number 3 under obedience to the law. That addendum is correct. She did appear in court. The case was disposed of shown February 13th, 2025. The criminal impersonation was an unconditional discharge, not getting any jail time, probation, or anything like that. And the interfering charge was not. That is correct. That's my brief comment regarding part number 1, but I do want to be heard regarding the situation for the second part of the hearing.
Thank you. So I have reviewed all the evidence. I've listened to the testimony at today's hearing. So with that, Ms. Eckford-Peak, I am finding that you violated the condition of residence based on the evidence presented in exhibits A, D, and G. On charge number 2, I found that you violated the condition of absconder based on the evidence presented in exhibits A, D, and G. And on charge number 3, I found that you violated the condition of obedience to the law based on your conviction of criminal impersonation on 2/13/25 when you were sentenced to unconditional discharge, as well as states exhibits A, D, and J. So that does conclude the fact-finding portion of today's hearing. Before I make my recommendation, you'll have an opportunity to speak to your background and history, and the purpose of this part of the revocation hearing is to help determine what outcome I recommend. Counsel?
Yes, on behalf of Ms. Peak, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And I did have a frank conversation with my client. As you can see under charge number 1, that was the same day she was placed at the halfway house is the same day she left the halfway house. The issue here is Ms. Peak. She knows what's right. She knows what's wrong. She does have some severe mental health disabilities. I'm not making excuses for her, but there's another individual. I understand he's not the one here in front of you that's going to be sanctioned on this. It's going to be Ms. Peak. But this same individual that was previously involved when I've represented her in the past. I know his name is in the police report. I'm not going to put his name on the record, but the initials BR are going to go on the record. As I indicated to Ms. Peak, he seems to be one of the roots of her problems. And just to put on the record, it's fair game because his name is in the police report. And he's the individual that was involved on November 16th of 2024. He's the one that was driving a stolen vehicle. It was not my client. This particular individual currently, this is as of yesterday, so this information is relatively up to date. He has 10 cases currently pending in court with bonds totaling $350,000 cash assurance. Obviously, he's incarcerated. It's probably the best thing that's happened for my client because this individual that influences my client with severe mental health disabilities keeps getting her jammed up, and she could potentially be jammed up until 2033. That's when her OS date is. So you see this pattern of absconding. I'm not making excuses for her. That's not my role here. I just want to explain to you, when you have someone that has such an influence on you, she's lost 3 family members at the end of 2023. She lost her mother, she's incarcerated. She lost her grandmother and her grandfather. So you have this one individual who has all that influence over her. She's 40 years old. Like I said, she knows what's right. She knows what's wrong. But this guy is ruining her life. So he's going to be locked up for a lot longer than hopefully when she gets reinstated at some point. So I may have that conversation and clear that up with her as to what she needs to do. So regarding Miss P, she's 40 years old. She was born in California, then moved to Naugatuck, Connecticut. She was placed at that halfway house. You can see what day she left. She did take some education classes at Naugatuck Valley Community College. She also took some general studies at York through Middlesex Community College with Wesleyan's University Center for the Prison Education Program. That indicated due to her mental health issues. She does not have a work history per se, because of that. And she did begin to file the paperwork for disability benefits for mental health purposes. She did, appears October to November 2024, did receive some medication assisted treatment, methadone with a counselor at the Liberation Program for a couple of weeks in Bridgeport. She also did some substance abuse IOP in Bridgeport. And also, it looks like a couple of years ago at Recovery Network of Programs, J Brothers in Bridgeport. Through my social worker, we actually received documentation which stated she did attend intensive IOP. She attended Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10:30 to 1:30. Client had open lines of communication, interacted with her peers during her sessions. Client completed a mental health evaluation and was prescribed medication while in treatment. So she is trying. But I think that X factor that's currently locked up is going to help her when she's back out in the community. Like I said, she has until 2023, so there's plenty of time for her to come back here if she chooses to. It's going to be a pattern. So once we take that factor out of the picture, I think she's going to be a little more successful in the community. Since she's been incarcerated, as it indicated, she does receive medication-assisted treatment, methadone. Participates in that group once a week, medication compliant. She did sign up for Tier 1 and 12-step meetings and is on the wait list for school. She's interested in the culinary or hospitality field. As far as housing for reinstatement, I don't know how this is going to play out. My client knows what she needs. She's asking to be placed in an inpatient mental health program. I don't know how the field parole is going to deal with that, but that was at my client's request. And obviously I have to put that on the record because that's what she asked for. As far as education, she does want to obtain her ServSafe certification, enroll in culinary or the hospitality program, and she hopes one day to get a degree in psychology. She is going to finish the paperwork for the disability and is interested in working part-time in the restaurant industry once she obtains her safe certification. Is amenable to any treatment recommendation. Like I said, typically our clients tell us what they did, but my social worker was able to actually get documentation from the provider. So what I put on the record was verified. Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear. Ms. P, anything you want to add? I not trying to put you down. That's not my purpose here today, but I have to be frank on the record to try to help you here. So you know what happened on October 29th and how long you lasted out in the community, and Mr. Sella can read. So it's not like we can hide what happened here, okay? It's up to you now because you can't blame it on BR anymore because he's gonna be in for a lot longer, hopefully, that you're gonna be. So you're gonna be back out in the community, hopefully without his influence. So you need to get your act together. Because as you know, as I already put on the record, you're on supervision until 2033. You've been back here a couple of times already and I've represented you. And what I'm putting on here is nothing that is a surprise to her. She has the same documents I have. So anything you want to add about what you're going to do once you get back out?
I just want to say that I do plan on not repeating the same thing. I want to, as I said, I really think that if I went to some sort of mental health program, that would be good for me. I don't know what kind of options are available, but if that does not happen, I am not going to be repeating the same behavior. I want to be successful. I don't want to keep repeating this behavior. I am very, very tired of coming to this place, of wasting the state's time, of wasting your time and everybody's time, my parole officer's time, making people chase me, being chased. I just want to be a normal person. I do not want to keep doing this. I want to come out and just continue doing what I did once before when I came out. I was able to go into into IOP, and I was doing well. And I was on my medication, and I want to get my disability and be able to go to school and then work or volunteer somewhere. And I just want to stay busy so that I have a schedule and I stay on track. I don't want to keep doing this. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Council, any further?
I don't have anything else to add. I just want to say she was indicated on track at some point here, but she keeps doing the same thing over and over. And at some point, she needs to stay on track based on the length of supervision she has left. But I keep repeating myself. I think that negative influence is incarcerated, and it's hopefully going to help her stay on track. Like I said, we did actually receive documentation. She was on track and doing very well. So she's capable of doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't have to reiterate all of the statements because we've heard it in the addendum. Council has said it over and over again. The behavior is just a pattern, Ms. Peak, so it's very concerning. And I do appreciate your statement that you're tired. I can only imagine being tired from it as well. But at the same time, your actions have just not shown it. So with that being said, I am going to recommend that your parole be revoked and that you serve an approximate 18-month period of confinement as a sanction. That's with the re-parole date of May 16th, 2026. And I'm going to recommend the following conditions: no alcoholic beverage consumption, no contact with victims ME without parole officer's permission, and a mental health treatment. I do need a halfway house location because we don't place straight into mental health inpatient. So what would your location be for your halfway house?
Bridgeport.
But what I can recommend to you, Ms. Peak, is that when you get out, stay long enough and have the conversation with that parole officer to get you into that program.
Okay.
Just give yourself that you have to give yourself the opportunity because the resources are out there and available, but you have to give yourself the time and get to some treatment that'll be beneficial to you. Okay.
Okay.
So that is my recommendation. It's going to the board on April 3rd, 2025, and you'll receive a written decision from them shortly after. So on that date in April, the board can do three things. They can lessen my recommended sanction, they can adopt my recommended sanction, or they can ask to see you for a supplemental hearing if they have concerns and want to impose a sanction longer than what I've recommended. If that is the case, you'll be notified of that hearing because you'll be present for it and you'll answer their questions and concerns. Okay. Any questions at this point?
No.
So Ms. P, on April 3rd, the board meets, you and I will get something in writing about 7 to 10 days later with the final outcome. If there's an issue with them adopting the recommendation, I'll set up a call with you and explain the next steps, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
The revocation
Thank you.
for Annika Ekberg Peak, MA number 315118. Thank you, Ms. Peak. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And they actually gave her a meaningful sanction, 18 months, and she didn't throw a fit either. Isn't that interesting? It was almost anticlimactic, but I think the funniest thing about this entire thing is that her attorney's still putting up a fight for her. I just wonder, and I know it's his job, but I really wonder, like, at what point, especially in this kind of situation, like a revocation situation, at what point does it bar on the line of just like abuse? Like, there's no way that if she would have gotten out today because her bad influence is locked up, that she would have just excelled, that she wouldn't have gotten revoked again. Like, there's no way someone could believe that, right? Could you talk yourself into it and be like, yeah, at 40 years old, she's just under the influence by this bad guy? I mean, how could day one, you walk out and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And frankly, I'm so confused putting together this hearing. Thank you, Holly, for using Sir Richard's spreadsheets to tie together the dots because I did not recognize this woman. I kept thinking I was doing the wrong hearing. I put it in my editing file. I was looking for the names. I'm like, because there's another woman in the same docket that looks much more like her in phase one. The red hair, similar, even like mannerisms, and I thought so. I grabbed that and I put it in here, and I put in all the work, and then all of a sudden I realized, you know, I have to edit these things together, right? It's my editing file. I have the wrong person. Like how did it? And Holly puts the timestamps and everything, but they were so close together. I thought it, and then I realized it was this woman who I was looking. They look totally different, right? Is it just me? I can't even. Oh my God, I don't know. I'm bad with faces, so it could be it's just me. Also, my brain's a little foggy. I can't even the dates. Everything is weird. I'm having a hard time following this one, so forgive me. But in a nutshell, I think so. The hearing that we covered first, and you might have seen it because we played that standalone, March 1st, 2024, and she got, I guess, a 9-month sanction. The second hearing takes place March. Sorry, no, yeah. The second hearing takes place March 2025 or February 2025. I'm recording it March 2025. And she gets, so it's my understanding that in 11/14, she gets 2024, she gets released, and then she gets revoked the next day, and then she gets a 9-month sanction, and then she gets out. What is it, March 20th, 2025, and then she gets I don't even know. I can't keep track. But either way, she absconded both times in the first day. It's my understanding, and that's just crazy. So this time they gave her I think it was an 18-month sanction. And let's just go over her record. I know, I'm sorry for messing this up. It's just I for those of you who don't know, I am learning disabled. I did not complete high school. I was diagnosed as dyslexic, but I think it's a misdiagnosis. I think it's something else, or maybe it's a combination of things. So when it comes to numbers, when it comes to I have a harder time than most. So I need to and this one is just confusing me. Anyways, for whatever reason it is, I can't explain it. But let's just go through her stuff. So special parole ends 2033. So good luck for her. Oh my God. This woman is going to be just, also the attorney, she's going to go graduate from college and become just like, no, some people, it's like she can't even go one day functioning outside of prison. I'm holding this thing that I think is making noise. So let's just see. Conspiracy to commit assault, second degree, 5 years. Suspended after 18 months. Conspiracy to commit robbery, second degree. Larceny, 5th degree. Assault, 1st degree. What does that mean? X into life. Special parole, 10 years. I guess this is what really got her. I don't know. Or she probably added more. Attempt to commit robbery, 1st degree. Violation of protective order. Can you imagine? I wonder if we should have protected order against. So Holly did find an article where it showed she had gotten in a fight with her mother once. Maybe it was that, but who knows? 328-21. Maybe it would be funny if it's the guy who the attorney blamed. Escape, 1st degree. This is a one escape, right? Remember the last one? What's the big deal? I just escaped. 7/5/2023. This is larceny, interference with an officer, violation of probation, 229, violation of probation, 1210. And she just can't help herself. Here, she stole someone's car and pushed them out of a moving vehicle. That must have been the assault one. That doesn't look good. I'm not going to go through the article because it was like all these ads were popping up. Here's where she assaulted her mother in 2016. She's not a pleasant person. All these assaults. This is not someone who's just stealing out of the local pharmacy so she can buy her narcotics. I mean, but 19 months. I mean, this is, I think what's the takeaway here is that there are, takeaway, I guess some people, I don't know, you know, they're throwing all this money and help and assistance and everything, but she can't help herself. You can't, it's like if she's not locked in a prison where she can't escape, she's just going to escape. She can't help herself. There's no self-preservation. Nothing. There's nothing. It's strange to see, but we're seeing it. So thank you again, Lady Holly and Sir Richard. Teamwork on this. We have many more coming. It goes into the return of playlist. We have many more hearings where people were paroled and come back. Check out that playlist if you want to see more like this. And with that, I'll let you go.
That one day, you were out one day. I mean, you're making it difficult for me. And you're making it difficult for your parole officer because we don't have a track record.
When I look through the history of her escapes, this is her fourth escape. And each time she's placed in a halfway house, within days, weeks, or even hours, she's just left.